Well, form goes out the window in a final, and these two teams have to hope that that's the case because the Europa League final is up and running, and it's Tottenham Hotspur against Manchester United here in Bilbao, the San Barria Stadium, playing host to the final. What a shot that was, the aerial shot of the stadium, and it just seems like a sea of white supporting this Tottenham Hotspur as both teams, well, they have gotten into this final in the worst possible form in the Premier League. If that is anything to go by, boy, these two teams do not belong here, but they do. They have been handling their business in Europe and find themselves 90 minutes away from potentially changing not just this season, but in the next couple of seasons with Champions League qualification guaranteed to the winner here. Nearly a minute played with Spurs with the early possession. Very interesting to see how the two managers are dressed up for this occasion. Amorim in a smart suit, and you can see Postecoglou in just a polo t-shirt and pants, just like it's any other game for him. Well, Tottenham Hotspur have had some injury issues with Kulusevski and Madison, both not featuring today. And for Manchester United, very interesting to see that Manuel Ugarte is on the bench. £60 million signing from Sporting Lisbon in the summer, not getting a kick in the biggest game of Manchester United's season. And that midfield battle will be so crucial because Spurs have got Bissouma, Sarr, and Bentancur, all who are very, very good in midfield. And Manchester United have Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in that midfield pivot with Mason Mount and Amad Diallo on either side of Rasmus Højlund. And I think Spurs might have gotten the first corner. Luke Shaw is fuming with that decision. Luke Shaw, really, he got fit for the Euro final, played very little, if not none of the season, and then gets picked for the Europa League final. I mean, says a lot about him. He's been fit at the right time from a Luke Shaw perspective, but it's Spurs who have the first corner, and you fully expect Spurs to be on the front foot. That's exactly how Postecoglou and Spurs played, regardless how the result is going. United on the back foot early on. It's Pedro Porro who will deliver this ball into the box. A lot of curl into it, but there's a lot of wrestling in the box too. Maguire takes a tumble and it's out for a goal kick. Manchester United playing in that 3-5-2-1, 3-4-2-1 rather. Might be a 5-3-1-1 by the looks of it. When they don't have the ball, they do go into that back five with Patrick Dogu and Nusay Mazraoui, the two wing backs for Manchester United, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and Lenny Yoro, the back three for Ruben Amorim's men. It's a good header there from Christian Romero, but it's well over the top of Rasmus Højlund, and that's what they look to do. They look to rough him up here. He had a terrible time against Tosin and Levi Colville when Manchester United faced Chelsea at the Bridge. They'll know that they look to rough him up as quickly as possible. Captain going way over the top, and it's a free kick for Manchester United. Just feels that that opening goal will be mayhem for either the opposition team because of what's at stake in the 90 minutes here. Luke Shaw will deliver on his left foot. Good curl on it. Aims at Maguire. Oh, there's a very, very nervy clearance there from Bissouma by the looks of it. I think it was Destiny Udogie with the slice clearance. You can see he just floated that in the air to Harry Maguire. And when that ball is in the air to Maguire, you always have a chance. Yep, just a slice clearance from the Italian fullback. And Manchester United respond with a corner of their own. Bruno Fernandes ready to shape to take this one. It's been in very good goal-scoring form towards the end of the season, but that's pretty much when Manchester United's seasons was pretty much done here as Fernandes delivers. Decent ball in. They managed to clear that away. Luke Shaw has an opportunity, but decides to go to Mazraoui. Floated ball into the air. Richarlison should be been favourite. Vicario gets there. Højlund gets there first, though. The layoff. Bruno Fernandes decides way too long before he has a shot. And it's a shot against Mason Mount. Well, Fernandes needed to be a lot more decisive in his decision-making there. Here's Mason Mount. Bright start there from Manchester United, but all comes from a bit of indecisiveness at the back from Tottenham Hotspur and Vicario. Here's Mazraoui. Manchester United absolutely annihilated Athletic Bilbao in the semi-finals. Would have been some story for the team from San Sebastian to play the final in their home ground, but Manchester United made sure that that wasn't the case. Here's Luke Shaw with the clip pass into Rasmus, and it's easily dealt with by Christian Romero, the skipper for Tottenham Hotspur. Well, nerves. It's going to be nerves, and it's just going to see which team makes that first error, because there is a soft underbelly. I mean, they're known to play good football for the first 10 or 15 minutes. When the first thing goes wrong, you just feel that the game might just slip away from them. Casemiro, a very good first-time ball to Diallo's control, which is heavy, but he gets away from... Oh, it's Bissouma with a very clumsy challenge there. It's a bit reckless, Yves Bissouma. I like him as a player, but they need him to be at his most disciplined. You see Ruben Amorim there. What a terrible season it's been for him in the league. It couldn't have gone worse. I mean, just relegation. That's exactly what has saved Ruben Amorim, because both these teams have not cracked 40 points, and we're into the final game of the season this Sunday. So it just shows you, well, below par is a gross understatement. It's been horrifying for both teams, because that's why you know that this game has so much riding on it. That's a brilliant challenge from Casemiro. Had no right to get that ball around Richarlison. United started off decently here. He'll want to put pressure on the opposition keeper here. This is a good challenge from Casemiro. Look at that, so clean as he wins the ball around his national teammate. Here's Luke Shaw. Patrick Dogu is there for company, decides to find Mason Mount. Clip pass to Rasmus is there. It's a heavy touch, but it gets that away from Yves Bissouma. Again, Bissouma is so strong in the challenge. Wasn't allowed to get Rasmus get an inch there. Yves Bissouma has been at his combative best, and he expect that in a final like this. Expect to see Tottenham be a lot more fluid in that midfield area. Mate Sarr, Bentancur, and Bissouma, all very capable of playing nice, intricate passing here. Manchester United, the centre-halves have had a lot more of the ball. Here's Lenny Yoro, who Manchester United fans would be so happy to see him back on the pitch. I think they would prefer him on that left-hand side as that left-hand side centre-half instead of Luke Shaw and maybe Mazraoui going as that right-sided centre-half. But defensive solidity is the number one remit here for Ruben Amorim. Here's Onana to Luke Shaw. Again, you can expect Spurs to press high, and that's exactly what they've done. They've applied the press on Luke Shaw, and they've gained possession in opposition territory here. Nervy start here from United. They don't look comfortable when they play out the back, and that's a damning indictment to not just the players, but the coaching staff as well. They've been there nearly, not the entire season, but to have that level of playing out the back as a minimum. You see so many teams capable of doing that. But Manchester United just panic in those areas. Here's Pedro Porro. Good ball into the box. Onana decides to come, and Richarlison was at the back of Nusayr Mazraoui. Good ball in on the right-hand side. Excellent defending from Mazraoui. Pedro Porro, you can't give him that kind of space on the right-hand side. It's a good whip on the ball. Now, Onana has done so poorly there because he's decided to come, and then he's caught in no man's land. And he should be very, very thankful about the defensive diligence of Nusayr Mazraoui. And it's a corner for Tottenham Hotspur into the 10th minute. And it's been a couple of corners here and there. But again, like I mentioned, nerves of both teams, and fully expect that to happen. Here's Onana. They need him to have a big game from a United standpoint. I mean, he has had another awful, awful season. Not just from his standards, from just a Premier League standard goalkeeper. As Brendan Johnson delivers, Onana comes, he clears. Looks to just cushion that header. Sarr onto the left-hand side. He's looking to cross the ball in. Not much height on, and it's easily cleared away, but Spurs can recycle through Bentancur. Destiny Udogie. Like him as a player, he's a very good fullback on that left-hand side. The Italian fullback, Desni Udogie, who suffered that ankle injury during that November time. And that's when Spurs' season just started to crumble. And from there on, they just hadn't been able to pick themselves up. See, there's a lot of holding in the box. It's Maguire and Van de Ven. Now, it's very reckless from Maguire. He's got eyes on the ball, yes, but he's got his arms all over Van de Ven. Spurs, once again, grateful to have their first choice back for this all-important final. Here's Pedro Porro. And the ball into the channel for Solanke to chase. Maguire's got an eye on him. Had a very comfortable game here. Oh, he's given it away here. And it's Brennan Johnson for the cutback. Brennan Johnson, good save. And it's Pape Sarr. It's a big block there from Maguire, who makes amends. The first moment of nerves there for Manchester United. Oh, surely there a foul all over Richarlison. Mazraoui goes there very recklessly, and Manchester United on the ropes here. Well, Onana doesn't fill his team with confidence there. You can see Mazraoui clearly with a foul there on Richarlison. Maguire has to deal with it. It's an indecisive clearance. Luke Shaw doesn't get there. Brennan Johnson does. And then the cutback is decent. Onana parries it right into the path of Pape Sarr, which is blocked by Maguire. And it's a corner again for Tottenham Hotspur. They're putting the pressure on Manchester United early on in this Europa League final. Manchester United haven't got going. Spurs looking to put the pressure on here. They need better delivery this time. Pedro Porro on that right-hand side looks to deliver. He'll come across and deliver from that other side. Manchester United having height in the box. Maguire, Lenny Yoro, Rasmus Højlund, all with aerial capabilities, along with Casemiro too. Ball into the box. It's not defended. Oh, Casemiro makes a mess. Richarlison blocked away. Again, the last touch comes off Bruno Fernandes. It's a corner for Spurs. Well, Manchester United at 6s and 7s at the back here, looking to try and organize the defending. It's a low-driven ball in. It's not cleared away. Casemiro hits that against Mount, and then it falls to Richarlison on his left foot. Doesn't get a clean contact on it. United get away with it, but it's scrappy defending. Spurs are cranking up the pressure to 10 here already in this first half. Fourth corner of the match, 3 of them already to Tottenham Hotspur. Again, they've got height too. Mickey Van de Ven, Christian Romero. They are powerful units. Pape Sarr has got aerial prowess too. Ball delivered into the box. Again, Onana decides to stay at home. Good decision in the end. That's a very good header, but it's conceded a foul all over Patrick Dogu on that occasion. Brennan Johnson, again down that right-hand side, he's looked very, very threatening for Spurs. He's a direct runner. Does offer and really stretch the pitch. We'll see Richarlison come in a lot more in the central areas to give Dominic Solanke company, and it'll be Johnson down that right-hand side who will be providing the width alongside Pedro Porro. So that side of the pitch for United is something that they'll have to keep a close eye on. For Amorim, they've not really played much football in the early stages. I think the bench is going to play a huge part in this match. For Spurs, they've got Audible, Son. They're all very useful options off the bench. Got Mikey Moore as well for United. You've got Manuel Ugarte if they want to freshen up the midfield area. Garnacho's there. But other than that, I don't know if Joshua Zirkzee is fit and ready to play. Patrick Dogo looking to ragdoll Pedro Porro there, and it's not a foul according to the referee. Luke Shaw goes flying into the challenge. Casemiro playing a 1-2 here with Maguire. Just over 14 minutes on the clock. 0-0 the scoreline here in Bilbao. The Europa League final now just starting to simmer to a boil here. Here's Lenny Yoro. Risk-taking. Which one of these teams has decided to take that element of risk? Manchester United in the build-up again looking very uncomfortable. Luke Shaw managing to get away. Bruno looking to turn. He does well to find Lenny Yoro, who can carry. Here's Mazraoui is inverted into midfield and switches the play beautifully there to Patrick Dogu. Dogu with the cross. Easily defended by Pedro Porro. Spurs get into their defensive shape quick and early on that occasion. First time Manchester United are just stringing together a few passes from back to front. Maguire with a big switch out there. Dogu on the stretch, and Romero has to get that away. And it's Route 1 football there from Manchester United, slightly on the ascendancy now. Patrick Dogu is making that run from left wing back. It's a good pick out there from Harry Maguire. Dogu's on the stretch, gets good connection on it, the wing back. Christian Romero makes the clearance, and it's a corner for Manchester United again. That's a 5th corner already in 15 minutes. It's a corner every 3 minutes, and neither team have really made it count so far. Bruno Fernandes, saw a stat that he is the highest assister in the Europa League history. 22 assists for him. It's also a damning stat that they've been in the Europa League for so long. And there's a ball in. Oh, Vicario's just about managed to clear that. And it's Ahmad, very composed. First touch. Ahmad with a strike, and it's just wide. Oh, how close has the Ivorian come here? He shifted it onto his right foot here. It's good defending to show him wide, but it's so quick-footed here from Ahmad. Maguire just lays it off. Just that first touch is electrifying there. Any sort of touch towards that. It's Vicario's decisive arm that gets something on it. It's very, very close. It's inches, and that's how close Manchester United have come to open the scoring here in the Europa League final. Wow. Well, we know how electrifying Amad Diallo is in his quick movements. He is so decisive at lightning speed. Spurs nearly falling victim to that. That's the thing. If you show him on his right, you have a better chance of stopping the goal to go, because on his left, he can just look to curl that in. Here's Diallo again. That is a very good challenge from Yves Bissouma. Stopping Diallo in his tracks immediately. In 17 minutes on the clock, now looking like a much more even contest here. Tom Solanke nor Rasmus Højlund haven't gotten into the game so far. Here's Solanke looking to battle against his English counterpart in Maguire, who just decides to pop that forward. United not able to keep the ball in those advanced areas. Here's Solanke, better control here. He's got runners. Udogie has made the underlap here. It's Richarlison on the overlap. Now the ball into the box. It's a decent delivery again. Good whip on it, and it's Pape Mate Sarr who's made that run. Late run from the midfield area. Well tracked. Doesn't give him the clear path to shoot here, but it's a good ball. Very good defending there by Luke Shaw. Yep, had to get that spot on, and he does. Spurs having more territory, I would say, but United looking threatening too here. Here's Destiny Udogie, stopped by Mazraoui. Good defending. We'll wing back to fullback. Bruno Fernandes felt that there's an arm around him here. Just over 18 minutes. He might have a case here. You can see Udogie just having his palm on the face of this Manchester United skipper. And Manchester United just look to build here. Have struggled. Once again, you see just hitting that ball in hope to try and find Rasmus Højlund, but even someone as composed as Lenny Yoro does that. He is very accomplished on the ball, the young French defender, so you expect a lot better from him to hit those passes along the ground. No reason for Spurs to panic in open play so far. Here's Richarlison. Might be offside there, but he's allowed play to continue. Mason Mount on the slide. Good challenge there from Mount. Really went full-blooded there against Pedro Porro. Good throw out there from Andre Onana. Manchester United looking to get a move on here in the 20th minute. Oh, brilliant bit of skill there from Amad Diallo. Really leaves Udogie in the dust there, but he has to go back. Good shape there from Spurs again. Almost a 4-2-4 when they press without the ball. See Brennan Johnson just looking to put the pressure on Luke Shaw. Caught on his weak foot there. And to just clear that away. Brilliant first touch there from Mason Mount. Lays it off to Patrick Dogu. Good play this from Manchester United. Needing a bit of individual brilliance there to get them out of that tight hole. But they managed to play that from back to front. Here's Mazraoui to Ahmad. Holding the width down that right-hand side. Here's Lenny Yoro now. And Manchester United starting to look a lot more comfy in Spurs territory. Here's Maguire driving with the ball to Patrick Dogu. Again, Mount looking to turn away from Bentancur. No turn from the Uruguayan. He suffered a very nasty injury, didn't he? The centre midfielder. I think it was ankle again, if I'm not mistaken. Done his hamstring the season before. So, two big injuries that Rodrigo Bentancur has had to recover from. But it's good to see him back on the big stage here. Good fan, good player, man. Bentancur. Here's Casemiro, man with all the honors. What a switch that is to Dogu. Beautiful that from Casemiro. And Dogu with the ball in to Mazraoui. Well defended, Urogi. Here's Ahmad now. Bruno Fernandes looking to just go across goal, but right into the hands of Guglielmo Vicario. Just looking to find Rasmus Højlund there, but nowhere near the Danish centre forward. You can see how close Christian Romero is to the striker. He's not going to let him have a free run at anything here. Either one of Van der Ven or Christian Romero will have to do that. And once you do that, you really do stop the supply line for Manchester United going forward. Vicario decides to go along. You can see that want to just reduce the element of risk in the early parts. Here's Fernandes. Manchester United have really struggled to score in the league. Hasn't been the case in the Europa League. Bags of goals in their victories against Lyon and Bilbao. Foul there by Johnson on Mason Mount. Mason Mount has been busy in the first half, but nothing really in those forward areas. He does press. He's very good off the ball, but as one of those inside number 10s, you want to see a lot more decisiveness in terms of finding those clever passes or having shots at goal. Postecoglou cannot believe that. Well, Postecoglou dropped one of the hardest quotes earlier in the season where he said, I usually win things in my second season, and he was ridiculed for it. He says, I've done it everywhere I've gone except at Spurs, hoping that maybe it would have been maybe the FA Cup or the League Cup, but it's the Europa League final. They have one of the best opportunities to end their trophy drought. They've been in the final of the League Cup in 2015, Champions League final in 2019. Since then, they've been starved of any real opportunities towards silverware here as Manchester United keep the ball halfway through the first half. 0-0 the scoreline. Here's Casemiro. He's been very good with his passing in this first half. Not just the long ranges, but the quick one-touch passing. Here's Bruno Fernandes playing a lot more deeper. That might change in the second half. Might see Bruno play as one of the inside forwards. Fernandes with a heavy touch. Mazraoui with a good header. Again, it's Ahmad having to weave out of a bit of a tricky spot, but he can't do that. Instead, Spurs come away with the ball. Solanke surely fouled there by Casemiro, who has to be careful. He'll have a couple of them before the referee decides to pull out his yellow card. Dominic Solanke protects the ball well here and just looks to turn away from Cass, but Cass was never really going to allow him to do that. Solanke, it's been I think I'd say an average season for him personally. Big money acquisition from Bournemouth. Has scored goals, but has he been that level raiser? I mean, you're trying to replace Harry Kane in terms of that consistency season in, season out. It's going to take time. It's going to take maybe another striker to try and share that load with him. But Ange has trusted him in most of the games. He's tried Son as that false nine. We might just see Heung-min Son being introduced at some point in the final. His experience and what a way for him to be at the club 10 years. A lot of his peers have left for bigger and brighter things, and he stayed throughout everything. And for him to end up with a trophy, a European trophy, to say the very least, it's a very good achievement for him. Patrick Dogu winning the ball cleanly there. Again, on the stretch, not able to keep the ball. Again, United doing well in the defensive phase, but they don't have that composure to get out of those tight spots. Suma has shown a lot of bite in that midfield area. Heading into the 25th minute, Pedro Porro has been well advanced for most of this first half. 0-0, the scoreline. Fully expected this. It's a final. You expect it to be very, very tight and very little to separate the two teams. Poro's done very well, but so has Dogu. Might have hit it against the arm of Brian Johnson, and it's a free kick for Manchester United. Just over 25 minutes on the clock. 20 minutes remain in this first half. 0-0, the scoreline. In terms of clear-cut chances, I think Manchester United have come the closest. Amad Diallo shot on the right foot. It looked closer in first viewing, but from the angle from behind, it did go considerably wide. But from Spurs' point of view, haven't really tested Andre Onana. It's such a big 90 minutes, isn't it? I mean, it really is like franchise altering. Not just what happens for this season, but the investment available for the next year or two will be determined by this. This is good play there from Solanke, but Maguire is so strong in the challenge there. Good work from the two English players, but Bentancur comes away with the ball. Here's Rodrigo Bentancur to Destiny Udogie. Richarlison up against Mazraoui. Good defending again. Mazraoui, very good 1v1 defender. Had a tough time against Nani Madueke at Stamford Bridge. I thought Nani really did put him on toast on a couple of occasions where he just put on the afterburners. He's such a tricky customer, Nani Madueke. Just has to add a bit of that end product to his game, be a bit more consistent. And you're looking at a top player for Chelsea. But I digress as Bentancur finds Destiny Udogie. Decent ball in. Again, Onana is so indecisive in the box. He decides to come. He's nowhere near it. I mean, Dogu's asking for the same here. Can you be a bit more decisive in your call? Look, the ball's put in the box. He's not really going to get there, but once he makes that move, as a defender, you stop because you know that your keeper is coming and then you're nowhere near it. You're caught on your heels. Dogu has to concede the corner, but again, that comes from Onana. He's just so indecisive in the box when the ball is in the air. Expect a lot better from a keeper of his pedigree, his experience, the clubs that he's played for. As Pedro Porro looks to deliver this ball into the box here at the Spurs end. Just a sea of white behind Andre Onana. Referee having a word. We saw Maguire having his arms around Mickey van der Ven in the corner before this as Pedro Porro delivers. Decent ball in. Doesn't get that away. Richarlison looks to flick that over. The header into a dangerous area, but Maguire gets that away. Comes back with interest, and Casemiro, his header might just spurn a counter-attack here for Manchester United. Vicario, again, no chances taken here. It's a different approach here from Postecoglou, isn't it? He just told his players to not really risk it in those areas. Again, that battle between Udogie and Amad Diallo is going to be so tasty in this match. Both players, real athletes and very tricky players in their respective positions. So both of them actually, in terms of defensive and offensive work, will have to deal with this as Manchester United very happy to float the ball into the box, try and test out some of the frailties in Spurs' defense. Fernandes takes it short. Here's Diallo. Amad Diallo on his left and on his right foot. Brilliant defending. And I think it's Brennan Johnson who got there first and it's hacked away. Amad Diallo on those very mazy runs. The way he just changes direction so quickly is very, very impressive. Look, he's got Udogie in all sorts of trouble. He's tied him up in knots, and it's very good defending at the front post from Brennan Johnson. Again, from Spurs' point of view, I think Christian Romero's just caught on the stretch there by the looks of it. Manchester United will feel that they just need to start feeding Amad Diallo a lot more of the ball. Just try and get him 1v1 against Udogie as much as possible. Look, Udogie doesn't know. He knows that he can't show him on his left. He's trying to cut down that side, but Diallo's vicious on his right too. We saw him take a shot on which went wide, but this time trying to just hit that in a dangerous area there. You could see Lenny Yoro and Rasmus Højlund both were waiting for some sort of delivery into the box. Just over 30 minutes played in this final. Christian Romero gingerly back onto his feet here. There's no way that Christian Romero is going to sit this one out. World Cup winner with Argentina, of course, as Manchester United now looking to just gain a bit of territory in this match. Most dangerous player has been Amad Diallo by far. Every time he goes in and 1v1 against Destiny Udogie, something that they have to be wary against. Here's Diallo again. Fernandes with the first time ball, which is well blocked off by Pape Matar Sarr. Fernandes not really having the quality required to open up the Spurs defense in this first half so far. Expect the Manchester United captain to be everywhere in terms of his engine and real drive all the way, but he has to be a lot more disciplined this evening because he is one of those pivot players with Casemiro. Spurs are 3v2 in that midfield area as Diallo on his right foot with a wild cross on that occasion. It's out for a goal kick. From an Amorim point of view, I think he won't be too displeased with his team in the first 30 minutes. I think in terms of clear-cut opportunities against Onana has been few and far in between, and he knows that there is a bit of threat in terms of an attacking force in Amad Diallo. So in terms of a boxing match, in terms of points scored, maybe Manchester United just about shaded, but it's a final, man. These stats are so pointless in terms of possession, territory, shots on target, shots off target. Really is immaterial. In a final, all that matters is just win it. And for either one of these teams, it could be potentially franchise altering. That's a good turn there from Richarlison. Here's Destiny Udogie. Again down the left-hand side. Now Spurs looking to gain a bit of territories. Fernandes needs to keep his head in here. He's already complaining a lot to the referee and fully expected from the Portuguese skipper there. It's a lazy leg that has been dangled out, but the referee doesn't fall for it. You can see Bissouma still writhing on the ground, but he has to get back onto his feet as quickly as possible as referee has waved play on. And Manchester United will look to try and expose that gap left by Bissouma in the middle of the park. Instead, he's decided to go long there. Such a poor decision there from Maguire again. He decided to go for the long and expansive switch. I mean, sure, but you know that Bissouma, oh, that's a clear foul there by Mazraoui. His knee catches his thigh. Yep, clear foul. Not spotted by the referee. And you know that Bissouma is so far from his midfield area. And then you just decide to play that long ball. Irresponsible with the ball, with a man with so much experience. Just look at the size of Yves Bissouma's quads, man. I mean, real tree trunks. They really are built different. Absolute specimens, these athletes. But just over 30 minutes played. Chance for both coaches to have a bit of a word with their players. I think Spurs can be a little bit more braver with the ball. They have that 3v2 in the midfield area. They have to take a lot more initiative in that midfield area and try and win that battle and just push Manchester United behind. See their centre halves trying to push up the pitch here, nearly playing at the halfway line. No real electrifying pace. Solanke is not rapid. Neither is Richarlison. Brent Johnson can really sprint down that right-hand side. So he's someone that Manchester United will have to keep an eye on. Rasmus Højlund with the header down. Can't keep the ball again. Ooh, Mazraoui has just committed yet another foul. Amad Diallo's got a whole bunch of Destiny Udogie's jersey. Surely he'll get a yellow card for it, but play goes on. Here's Udogie. Ooh, that's another foul there by Fernandes, and both players might get a yellow card here. It's very reckless from Manchester United, just starting to lose their composure towards the end of the first half here. Richarlison is adamant, and he has a case here, and Amad Diallo's definitely should, I mean, for sure has to get a yellow card for that. Christian Romero is looking to plead his case here, and yep, Diallo gets the yellow card. No surprises there. I think Bruno Fernandes is lucky to escape a yellow too, so he's made the foul on it. Diallo gets the yellow card, the first yellow card in the final. You can see there the coming together between Mazraoui and Richarlison was let go by the referee. And then when Destiny Udogie has got the run on Diallo, Diallo doesn't really fancy it. And Fernandez, and nothing malicious in his challenge. And you can see why yellow card wasn't given. And Fernandez just putting his forehead on Udogie. Unnecessary in a final, really. 10 minutes plus stoppage time remain in this first half. It's a free kick in a dangerous area. It's Pedro Porro. Again, that right footer. That run at the near post has to be made by one of the centre halves here. And I think it's going to be Van der Ven. With his height, needs to get some sort of contact on it. The delivery has to be spot on here from Pedro Porro. And just looking to change his angle here. Manchester United defending higher. Oh, the delivery is piss poor, man. And it's a foul too by Bissouma. I think he gets away with it by getting the ball first by the looks of it. Man, the delivery there is so bad. Again, in a final, you expect the set pieces to be a whole lot better. Here's Brennan Johnson looking to get Patrick Dogu the run around here. Decent delivery again. Oh, he's done very well there, Solanke, but uses his arm to control the ball. Does well to get in front of Maguire. It's a good run. Yep, clear handball there from Dom Solanke. It's a good target man. He's got a lot of very solid attributes. Ange Postecoglou deciding that he was the man to be that first link to replace Harry Kane in the summer. Again, Rasmus Højlund getting smothered by a couple of Spurs player. Very well done there by Richarlison. That's such a poor pass. Really is. Oh, again, Lenny Yoro getting caught on the ball. Manchester United, again, I associate the word lack of composure with them, and really does show. You can see here, Lenny Yoro thought that the keeper might come. He's decided to turn, and he's turned into trouble in his own box. That is a lack of experience. And the ball in the air, it's well won there by Christian Romero. United have had no joy, but they win the second ball. Again, it's Fernandez who goes in the air. He's taken a clattering there. Quickly back onto his feet, though. In terms of real quality, in terms of someone just opening the lock, neither team really capable of doing so. And I think that's where Spurs are lacking someone like Kulusevski or James Maddison in that number 10 role. Kulusevski with his ball carrying and his ability to find those clip passes. Same goes with Maddison, but neither there. So that's solid midfield three instead for Postecoglou. Again, a good switch out here. Togo has been a very willing runner on that left-hand side. Here's Casemiro. And they're showing that passes completed graphic, and it's not something that you would associate with Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. They've been completely outnumbered in terms of that department. United nearly double of the passes completed, but again, it's just a nothing stat, isn't it? Something to fill the stat sheet as Richarlison with a good run forward finds Destiny Udogie. Crunching challenges flooding there onto the right-hand side. Mazraoui finds Højlund and does well to hold off the challenge. Feeds that forward. Again, it's a real battle going on in the midfield area. United get the foul. I think from the next 6 minutes plus stoppage time, both coaches will be telling their teams, like, get into the halftime break 0-0 here. I mean, to go 1-0 down would be a psychological mountain to climb. Postecoglou will feel that he hasn't got the calls in this final so far. Here's Ahmad on his left foot, looking to just get a shot away. It's very ambitious. Hasn't been shown on his left far too often, so when he does get that chance, you know he'll look to pull the trigger. Still on the deck here. Spurs had a right to play on here, but decide to kick the ball away, and Amad Diallo's on the deck. Last thing Manchester United will want is for Amad Diallo to not be able to continue in this final. He's been their lone threat going forward. And see, he gets the shot away and comes second best in terms of... Don't really see. Might just be an awkward landing more than anything else. Five minutes plus stoppage time here in the first half. Here in Bilbao in the Europa League final, 0-0 the scoreline. And after both these teams have had the most wretched of domestic seasons, what a way this would be to end that season. Not just with silverware, but with the qualification into Champions League next season. There's Matthijs de Ligt. He's on the sidelines. Picked up that injury in that game against Brentford, if I'm not mistaken. Again, a huge miss for Manchester United, but they'll have to play on. Here's Mount. Fernandes. Again, it's the long ball option for Manchester United. They have to try and play the ball. Here's Fernandes again. Again, loses out. Very irresponsible from Bruno Fernandes in that midfield area. He's lost the ball far too many times. We'll look at those stats at halftime as to the number of completed passes from the Manchester United number 8. That's a clever pass and a good run there from Bentancur. Fernandes follows him. Now the cross in from Sarr. Oh, no one gets there, and it's Brennan Johnson! Tottenham Hotspur have the lead in the Europa League final. And it's a ball into the box which hasn't been dealt with at the near post. And it's the Welsh international who steals in front. And Tottenham Hotspur and Ange Postecoglou have the lead in the final. And it's Brennan Johnson's 5th goal in the Europa League. And what a time to score just before the halftime break. Manchester United caught cold at the near post. And it's Brennan Johnson who's made the run from right to left who gets the final touch. United dealt a hammer blow here. It starts off with a good bit of play from Richarlison and Bentancur. Now the ball in from Sarr is not dealt with whatsoever. Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire, neither one of them dealing with that situation. Oh, has it come off his arm there? Any sort of touch on his arm, and the goal will be disallowed. Oh, it's come off Luke Shaw's arm there. And yep, the last touch, I think that is a Luke Shaw on goal. Let's have a look here. Yep, it's come off Luke Shaw, and it is an own goal by the looks of it. But Brennan Johnson will claim it. Ange Postecoglou is absolutely claiming that one. Manchester United need a goal in this final now. Well, Johnson has looked the most threatening for Tottenham Hotspur down the right-hand side. And he's popped up on the opposite side to steal in for the goal. It's a good bit of run. Just cuts across. Luke Shaw has to do better. Well, 2 minutes plus stoppage time remain in this first half here. So look at that challenge between Richarlison and Nusayr Mazraoui. Well, Tottenham Hotspur fans in the stadium are going absolutely crazy. They know they are 45 minutes and change away from a truly historic night. Fernandes delivers. Richarlison clears. Well, 90 seconds remain in this first half. Do Manchester United have it in them to pull a goal back just before the halftime whistle? Massive effort needed. Need to see a lot more from Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund in terms of an attacking force. You know, Fernandes and Ahmad will keep trying. They have done, in fairness to them. It hasn't come off too much for Fernandes in this first half so far. That's a very clever pass. And it's Bruno Fernandes. What a block that is. Mickey van de Ven gets there. Tracks the run of the Manchester United skipper. Spurs looking to play out the danger here. Oh, the last touch comes off them. It's risky. Fernandes again delivers. And as Bentancur clears, Fernandes' deliveries have been below par, to say the least. Again, we wanted to talk about his stats in that halftime break. It's not been enough. Knowing that Mount and Højlund have contributed very little in that first half. Here's Luke Shaw. Patrick Dogu. Well, United will have to come out in the second half here. They can't prolong this for as long as possible. Spurs can get another one, knowing that United have really struggled for goals recently. We're into stoppage time here in this first half. Spurs heading into the halftime break with that all-important goal. It was a shot by Brennan Johnson, took a hefty ricochet of Luke Shaw, and that might just go down as an own goal. Good ball this from Pape Sarr. You can see there neither Patrick Dogo nor Luke Shaw going with the runner. They're caught cold. And you can see Luke Shaw has to take ownership of that situation. Just gets his body in there. Ooh, might be a foul there by Bentancur. Foul has been given. The yellow card stays in the pocket. With 2 minutes of stoppage time. Yet another set-piece situation for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes has taken all of the set pieces. No surprises, but hasn't really troubled Spurs' goal here. Minute of stoppage time has been played as Fernandes delivers. Again, looking for Maguire, won by Spurs. Here's Amad Diallo, Luke Shaw. Clip pass again towards the far stick. No one there. Should have controlled that. Should have been a lot more communication as Diallo floats the ball in. Vicario should be favourite, and it's an easy gather for the Italian goalkeeper. Pretty much sums up Manchester United's first half in terms of an attacking threat. They're gaining territory in terms of pushing Spurs back, but in terms of meaningful opportunities, have to do a lot better. Shake of the head from the United fans. Spurs fans absolutely enjoying their time out there in Bilbao. Good header there from Solanke. Gets Richarlison involved. He's won that duel. Oh, he sent Mazraoui beautifully there with the turn. Cross comes in on his left foot. He's asking so much from Pedro Porro. Look at the run by the Spanish fullback. He's run, I think, 40 or 50 yards full sprint. And I think that should be that in terms of the first half. And it's Manchester United who have it all to do in the second half, as it's Spurs. It can't even come out of my mouth that Spurs are leading in the cup final. And that hasn't happened in an eternity as Manchester United face a 45 minutes with their backs to the wall, having to fight their way out of this. They find themselves in a very tricky position, and it's the combination of Brennan Johnson and Luke Shaw that has given Tottenham the all-important lead going into the second half. Is Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester United 0. We look at some of the stats here. United have dominated the ball in terms of possession, 63%. I'll take that with a pinch of salt. 5 shots on five shots, 2 shots on target for them. Spurs having 2 shots, none on target. And the irony is that they do lead. But in terms of really threatening the Spurs backline, Manchester United, apart from Amad Diallo, haven't really troubled the Spurs backline. I wanted to see some of the performances, individual performances. Look at Bruno Fernandes in terms of his pass completion. 12 passes out of the 16. It's decent. He's created 1 chance, according to FootMob. Again, 2 block shots, 33 touches, 0 accurate crosses, and just 1 accurate long ball. So he can do a lot better, but in terms of helping out in a defensive way, I think he's done a lot of work in that midfield pivot alongside Casemiro. So I think I would say about a 6.5 out of 10 performance for Bruno Fernandes. And as for Spurs, I think defensively they look comfortable. The 2 centre halves have really eaten up Rasmus Højlund. He hasn't had anything to do with the Danish striker. Don't think anyone really expected much from him the season that he's had. But what do Manchester United have in their reserves? They have Kobbie Mainoo. I don't know if Joshua Zirkzee might be trusted to get a few minutes. They have Garnacho on the bench too. For Spurs, they've got Mikey Moore, Odegaard, Matthias Tell, Heung-min Son. So a lot of attacking options for Ange Postecoglou, but his side are 1-0 up. So it's a good, really good situation for them to be in. For Manchester United, again, in terms of real threat, you know that he's not going to change his structure. They might just throw the kitchen sink towards the final 10 minutes if they're not able to get a goal. But in terms of having a tactical plan, try and open up Spurs, he'll have to come up with something better here. Maybe Fernandez gets pushed in as that number 10. Mason Mount gets hooked. Ugarte in midfield. Maybe be a bit brave and get Ericsson on. I think that would be, someone to just grab a hold of the ball in those deeper areas. Yeah, I think that's the most logical substitution that they can make, because for all the work that Mason Mount does off the ball, again, I want to see what he's done on it. I mean, he's had touches, he's looked busy. Again, he's had 4 out of 5 accurate passes, 14 touches, no accurate balls, long balls. He's won no tackles. He's had a couple of recoveries and clearances. But again, in terms of on the ball, Mason Mount is giving you nothing. So is Ruben Amorim, or does he be brave? He has to be brave, because he has to show his team that I'm looking to win this game, regardless of what it does to your futures and what you feel about the situation. You might need to try and maybe introduce Kobe Menu, Garnacho, maybe. So there are options on the bench, and it would be very surprising if Ruben Amorim doesn't make a change at halftime. For Spurs, as is, I would say nothing really changes for them. I think they've dealt with Manchester United attacks well. The midfield has had looked good in terms of that shape. Bentancur, Bissouma, and Sarr are solid. Maybe not spectacular, but it's Sarr's assist, that low drive ball into the box, which found Brennan Johnson via the ricochet of Luke Shaw. So again, with the options, they've got a lot of attacking options. They can freshen up their front line in order to try and get that second goal into the second half. So 1-0 the scoreline. Spurs are in dreamland here. The Europa League final timing is very interesting, because it's sandwiched between the final day of the season where both teams have nothing to play for in the league. So it's pretty much good timing for them. But they had something to play for on Sunday, it would have been very, very interesting in terms of timing, because the Conference League final and the Champions League final is well after the season is complete. But just look at the celebration there from Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. You know just what a big goal that is. No, they have nothing to celebrate. And I think the way that the season has gone for Ange Postecoglou, if they win, I think for him the perfect scenario is to take that trophy and resign and walk away. Because that situation with Spurs is untenable in the league. It's not a manager problem, because many managers have gone there and it's just gone pear shaped in the league, and it hasn't gotten as worse with someone. And they've gotten a progressive manager in terms of someone who likes to play football on the front foot, and they find themselves in 17th. It's only fortunate for them that the 3 promoted teams that have come up had absolutely terrible seasons, who couldn't barely crack just over 25, 30 points. So just shows you that these 2 teams have so much work to do in the summer. It's not just get 2 or 3 players in and things are just going to magically look up for them. So it's going to help. The Champions League money surely will help for either team. But in terms of real work, Manchester United have that clear out that they need to make. Well, Manchester United have 45 minutes to save their season and potentially dictate what happens in the next 1 or 2 years in terms of what they're capable of doing in the transfer window, because Ruben Amorim is on thin ice here. Thin ice, because nothing to suggest from his league form shows that he deserves to keep his job, because Manchester United have gone from bad to worse under Ruben Amorim in the league. Now, someone would suggest that it's the players that they've got them in this situation, and absolutely spot on. It's the players, because the goalkeeper is not reliable. The centre forward gives you absolutely nothing. Only Amad Diallo looks like I would say, consistent attacker. Garnacho is capable of scoring goals. Bruno Fernandes is, again, capable of having purple patches in terms of real consistent performances. But Manchester United don't score goals. They're once again heading into a season with negative goal difference. That is a very telling statistic, because I'll tell you why. Because if your team can't score goals, I mean, where do you go from there? It's not just adding a striker and suddenly you're going to score 20 goals more in the season. It might happen, but it's a lot more systemic. It's a systemic issue for Manchester United. If I look at their league table, the number of goals that they've scored is truly concerning, because they've scored 42 goals and have conceded 54. Spurs, despite of terrible they've been, they've scored 63 goals. So it's at the back that they have the problem. United have a problem going forward, where they score just about a goal a game, which hasn't even been the case in the league in the last 3 or 4 games. Their last victory was in March in the league. Yeah, the Europa League has really masked Ruben Amorim's performance in the league this season. So, win or lose, if he gets the opportunity to manage next season, he's skating on the thinnest of ices. Because if he loses, say, 2 or 3 games, I mean, sure, you can have all the planning and you give him the players that he wants, but again, he's got no goodwill left. I mean, that's why this Europa League is something for them to fall back on, because if this opportunity slips for Manchester United, I think it's curtains for Amorim. He has no rope remaining, and he'll have to be that manager who's not just broken a lot of negative records, but he'll also be the manager to hand Spurs their first trophy in about 17 years. So huge stakes for Manchester United. He has to make a change. I mean, he has to just show, like, even if it's not going to make too much of a difference, he just has to show that I'm making a change. I'm not happy with that first half, because if he sends out the same 11 out there again, it's a bad look. It's a very bad look for Manchester United, and they'll have to rely on players who have let them down consistently this season. So it's a managerial call. He has to be brave, and there's no other way about it. Because I know that Ange Postecoglou, if the roles were reversed and if his team were 1-0 down, he probably would have made a change a lot more quicker. He has made triple substitutions a lot more swifter. Amorim, known to not panic in terms of change in personnel, often wastes like maybe 70, 75 minutes before he makes that first change. I don't think he can wait. I really don't think he can wait here. Time is of the essence for Manchester United. And again, options, Kobe Menu, maybe in midfield, get a bit of drive and a bit of invention in those midfield areas. Maybe just get Casemiro as that lone midfielder. But again, United have kept the ball well in terms of possession, but I wouldn't say meaningful possession. Well, the players are coming out for the start of the second half here. And as I mentioned before, I'd be very, very surprised to see if Manchester United haven't made changes at halftime. Have a look at some of the app if I can get information before that. For Spurs, I don't really expect any changes as is for them. All eyes on Luke Shaw on that occasion, but I think by the looks of it, United are coming out of the same team here. Again, that's a beautiful overview shot of the San Barria in Bilbao, Spain. And simply put, massive, massive 45 minutes for both teams here. Spurs 45 minutes away from picking up their first trophy in 17 years. And it's a big one, too. It is automatic qualification in the Champions League at stake here as Manchester United chase down a 1-goal deficit. Where does this go from here as Manchester United kick things off from left to right? They go long immediately. And as I mentioned, I would be very surprised to see no changes. And no changes it is for Manchester United. Fernandes and Casemiro remain in the midfield pivot. Rasmus Højlund maybe gets 5 minutes, but he's got to show more here in terms of, again, he's being roughed up. There's no two ways about it. Christian Romero is probably one of the worst defenders to play against if you're not physical and ready, because he'll be on you like a rash. He'll make clean challenges, he'll make nasty ones too. So he's a proper defender. Harry Maguire looking to drive from that defensive area. Here's Luke Shaw. Clip pass into the channel. Højlund chests it down. Finds Mason Mount. Mason Mount trying to lay it off to Patrick Dogu. That combination really used in the first half. Patrick Dogu, Luke Shaw, and Mason Mount down that left-hand side haven't really threatened the Spurs defense. Again, at some point, you have to see movement on the touchline from a United perspective. Here's Fernandes. Again, Rasmus doesn't keep hold of the ball here. Solanke does and looks to win the foul, but referee says play on. Here's Lenny Yoro. United looking to be in more of a back four now. Mazraoui playing as a right back. Maguire as a left-sided centre-half. Yoro almost playing as a 2-10s here. Manchester United looking to just change their shape without changing their personnel. Yep, you can see Mazraoui on the right-hand side playing as right back. Ahmad now. Here's Lenny Yoro. Right-hand side has looked a lot more lively for Manchester United, mainly because of this man, Amad Diallo. Suma immediately on the challenge. Again, from a Spurs point of view, Ange Postecoglou would have urged his team to not concede in the first 5 or 10 minutes. Keep this for a 1-0 for the first 5-10. Get the momentum back and slow the game down in your favor here. Here's Mazraoui. Fernandes, Mazraoui again. Amad Diallo looks to get it on his left foot. Clip pass, there's Højlund's header. Nowhere near target. Decent ball there from Amad Diallo. See Højlund just trying to guide that header on target. Not much height on it, so he's just looking to put a bit of direction on it, but wasn't ever going to trouble Vicario from there. Again, 3 minutes into the second half, Manchester United, for them perspective, they cannot lose their heads here. Have to be composed. They have to try and knock on the door. They know that Spurs do have a soft underbelly. This season, the underdogs have won the silverware. Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup, Crystal Palace the FA Cup. And if Spurs are to win the Europa League, I mean, it really is a crazy season as Mickey van der Ven has picked up the yellow card. Forceful challenge on the back of Rasmus Højlund. He's being roughed up from both sides, the Danish striker. Van der Ven has had a very comfortable evening so far. He's hardly had to engage down that side. Yet another set-piece opportunity for Manchester United. No surprises again is Bruno Fernandes, who looked to deliver the ball into the box. Delivery in the first half was lackluster, to say the least. Has to be better in the second. Fernandes delivers. This is better, but Suma's header gets that away from danger. United look to reload here. Yeah, sure. The offside flag has been raised, and Manchester United's attack has been prematurely stopped as Maguire and Romero get into a scuffle. Yep, neither one of these players giving each other an inch there. Well, two of their physical centre-backs getting into a duel there. I think the Manchester United fans has really going to start having to feel those jitters. Can United, just their lack of threat in the first 5 minutes of the second half. I mean, you can generally tell with your team when I see Chelsea trailing at halftime, coming out in the second, that first 5 or 10 minutes just tells me everything that I need to know. If we look threatening or don't look threatening in that 5 or 10, I'm like, the rest of the time is just going to be a waste of energy and for everybody else. Manchester United, I think they might be the opposite for them because they are not a momentum team. They are a moments team. So they won't really care about it. But in terms of territory, in terms of trying to trouble Spurs, done very little. That's very good play there from Bentancur. Clever touch. Had no right to win that challenge. Pedro Porro just lacking that bit of composure. Again, on the back of Casemiro goes Pape Matar Sarr. Such an irresponsible header there from Harry Maguire. It's right into the path of Casemiro. He's not facing the play and very easily could have lost the ball. So gets away with that one with the foul. Here's Baron Johnson. Finds Bissouma. Again, Mount looking to close the spaces down here. Manchester United still looking for answers. Spurs trying to look a lot more composed with the ball. We might just see a lot more of Ange Postecoglou Spurs, but again, they are a young team. They'll have that soft underbelly. The nerves will start to play a huge part. Manchester United might just start putting it into the mixer, man, into the box. Just put Spurs under pressure. Seen the number of goals that Spurs have conceded in the league. Something for Manchester United to try and target, but United themselves have struggled to score. They didn't score against West Ham. Chelsea kept a clean sheet at the bridge against them. And very, very comfortable in these areas of Spurs. And 7 minutes played, no changes made, no real indication of a change either. Garnacho, Kobe Menu, Ugarte, all still on the bench. Xerxes too. Like I mentioned before, not sure about Joshua Xerxes' fitness and how much he can play in the final. Amorim can't be thinking about extra time, man. He has to try and rectify the situation from this very, very precarious scenario where it's not just their worst season domestically, but they end up empty-handed and it's humiliation at the hands of Spurs. So much to play for here. Richarlison does well. In return, he gets the foul. Azraoui all over the back of the Brazilian. Fully expected an edgy final. Both teams going into no sort of form. The form goes out the window is definitely. But for Manchester United to think that they can just turn it on and off like a tap, football just doesn't work that way. They'll have to rely on something out of the ordinary here to try and get them out of this hole. Like I mentioned before, scoring goals has been a problem. Scoring two in a final, the stranger things have happened. They won against Manchester City last season in the FA Cup. No one really gave them a prayer in that final, but they not just outplayed, they completely outplayed City, and they thoroughly deserve to win that. So, which is a huge reason as to why they find themselves in the Europa League, as Mason Mount gets into a battle with Bentancur, and Mount not able to make that impact on the ball. A lot more from the English attacker. Fizzes that to Hoyland. Clever back heel there to Casemiro. Again, they're not able to sustain the attacks here, Manchester United. 2 or 3 passes, and after that, don't have the ideas to open up Spurs. Van de Ven with a forceful challenge. Here's Lenny Yoro. Finds Mazraoui. You can see Manchester United very much in the back four now. Patrick Dogu playing as a left winger. Going to get the ball in, but it's cleared away by Pedro Porro. Again, if you've shifted your formation to a back four and you're using Patrick Dogu as a left winger, why not bring on Alejandro Garnacho? I mean, you want someone high and wide and decisive in those areas. Is Patrick Dogu the man to really provide you with the attacking impetus that you need? Not really sure. He's a solid player, good athlete. Here's Maguire. Again, you just need your coach to be brave in the final, especially when the chips are down. Here's Fernandes. Again, operating deeper than he should be. Not able to affect the game that he wants to do, as the switch of play is easily dealt with by Destiny Udogie, and Richarlison comes away with the ball. He's looking to just open his legs and run on the left-hand side, and he takes a tumble there. Mazraoui doesn't commit the foul. Instead, it's a handball by Richarlison trying to just buy the free kick. He's going to get a yellow card if he keeps these antics up. Referee with a very lenient approach there on the Brazilian. 10 minutes into the second half, they haven't really got going, have they, Manchester United? No real change from their first half. See Amad Diallo playing high and wide down that right-hand side, and the Spurs fan know that they are 40 minutes away from one of the most special feelings that you have. I know as a Chelsea fan, we've been in the Europa League twice, and we've won that twice. So it's not a competition that you want to be in, but once you're in it, you want to win it. So Spurs can almost taste this. That quote from Ange Postecoglou early on in the season: I usually win things in my second season. Everybody laughed. Everybody smiled at it sarcastically, but Ange knew, man. He really is a very good coach. The way that he speaks, the way that he comes across, he's an advocate for the game, and I really do like the way that he gets his team playing. I mean, there are a lot of criticisms, and they're valid. I mean, 21 losses in the Premier League is unacceptable, but once again, I'd like to attribute that more towards Spurs rather than Postecoglou, maybe, but it would be a boss move by Ange if he was to win this and just leave and start afresh with another team. I'm sure he'll have offers plenty, knowing that he's about 40 minutes away from having European pedigree to his name. And Richarlison gets a needless yellow card. I mean, he's starting to lose his head, and might be time for Spurs to freshen up their front line here. Haven't really troubled Manchester United in the second half. They don't have to, but they'll want that second goal, that cushion goal, as quickly as possible. Fernandes looks to deliver. It's such a bad ball, but nearly gets there. And they manage to clear. Again, he just drops that into an area. Lenny Yoro on the slide, looking to get some sort of contact on it. Vicario might have gotten the last touch. A decent ball here, and you can see Lenny Yoro has made that run. Any sort of contact, and Vicario is struggling. Yep. Oh, Yoro has gotten a slight toe on it, and Fernandes looking to play a hero ball here. Big switch out to Dogu. I mean, from a Spurs point of view, if you start seeing Bruno Fernandes just hit those long diagonals, I think you're fine. You're like, just continue doing that. We'll find. We'll just switch around from side to side, get there first. Here's Diallo. Again, Van de Ven has the pace to match against Diallo. He's got the pace to match against most wingers in the world. Here's Patrick Dogu. He's got Luke Shaw on the overlap. Mason Mount looking to turn away from trouble. Does very well there, Mason Mount, but he's lost his balance. Looking to keep the ball in play, but might just allow Spurs to get that clear. Okay, nearly moment there for Mason Mount, looking to just turn away from 3 players. Not easy, as Luke Shaw for the first time really was on the overlap. Yep, you can see Mount completely outnumbered, then losing his balance. Well, nearly 15 minutes into the second half, and Ruben Amorim has kept his cards in his pockets, and that is very surprising. If you throw everything that you have and then you lose, you can almost say, you know what, fair play. As Ahmad looks to drive here, again, he's been outnumbered. Richarlison nearly making a foul. I think I wouldn't be surprised that if Richarlison is the first man to be withdrawn for Spurs. Here's Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, United pinning Spurs back here. No quality whatsoever. Again, the passes completed stats, 241 for Manchester United, 96 for Spurs. It is a pointless statistic. Here's Patrick Dogu on the left-hand side. Really advanced position, finds Mason Mount. Here's Højlund, again, not having the anticipation. He's on his heels, the striker. He's nowhere near getting there first. Mason Mount starting to get a lot more involved in the attacking phase here. Yep, 15 minutes into the second half, United yet to really threaten. Guglielmo Vicario in goal here. And from Manchester United's point of view, they'll know they're 30 minutes away from a disaster of a season. The Europa League was the only thing really as the ray of hope, the shining light after a dark, dark season for them. As a Chelsea fan, it gives me a lot of pleasure. I'm not going to lie, as Mason Mount incompletes that pass. Pape Sarr gets there first. And the service to the strikers has been very difficult. I do empathize as Fernandes loses the ball inexplicably. And now Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side might look to run here, but he's got no support. Patrick Dogu on the slide might have gotten the ball first, but it seems that the last touch has come off Johnson, who is absolutely fuming by that decision. And it's a goal kick for Manchester United. Yep, I think that's a very good call from the linesman. I'd like to see maybe Ange be a bit more brave with his substitution. Just freshen up that forward line. Oh, it's Ahmad on his left foot, fallen kindly. Oh, he's hesitated, and Destiny Udogie has done so well to track the run and win it cleanly. And he gets the chance to run here, and he's got Dominic Solanke for support. Here's Destiny Udogie affecting the game from back in front. Feeds Dominic Solanke. What a terrible first touch. Oh, Dominic Solanke, you might have just costed your team here. What a pick out this is from Destiny Udogie. He's done so well to win the challenge of Amad Diallo in his own box, and then he gets the run. What a perfect pick out this is. He's got the weight on it. Solanke's touch is horrifying. I mean, the two centre forwards have not covered themselves in glory whatsoever. Ruben Amorim would have felt his heart absolutely sink in that moment if Solanke got his first touch right. Ange Postecoglou knows that his team was so close to pretty much sealing up this contest. Well, 1-0 the scoreline. It hasn't been the game for the purists, for the technicians. It's been tight, it's been cagey, and it's having that sense of desperation, really. Manchester United looking like they're running out of ideas here. They're really relying on Amad Diallo down that right-hand side to give them that spark. Here's Bruno Fernandes. Will the captain be the man to drag his team from the depths? Here's Casemiro to Patrick Dogu. Again, Luke Shaw on the overlap, being ignored there by Patrick Dogu. Again, till when does Ruben Amorim wait before he uses his bench? This is far too long. We talked about the 70 or 75 minutes in the league, but in a European final where your team has looked lackluster, and it's any Euro trying to add a bit of skills in the forward area. He's caught on the stretch there, but he looks okay. Here's Amad Diallo now, trying to go around the outside of Richarlison. Good defending there from the Brazilian, helping out in a defensive capacity, and he hacks that clear and nearly turns into a decent ball there. Richarlison's efforts being applauded by Ange Postecoglou. And for Manchester United, yet another attack that has been stopped well in advance. Well, Lenny Yoro was on the stretch there, and it's a very painful one on his knees. Had a couple of injuries in his debut season there, Lenny Yoro. First one was particularly damaging because it was in pre-season and it set him back about 3 months. Probably the worst start to his Manchester United campaign here, as Tottenham Hotspur just looking to slow the game down here. Game very much in their grasp as Richarlison hits the deck there, and I think his race might be run here. They have an opportunity to try and bring Odegaard on, and he's a very pacey player down the left-hand side, full of trickery, or has an option to go with the advanced head of Heung-min Son. So Richarlison out, but Manchester United again, 20 minutes into the second half, no changes. Well, it's experience that Ange Postecoglou decides to lean against, and it's the club captain, Heung-min Son, who gets about 25 minutes plus stoppage time to get his hands on his first ever trophy in the domestic stage here. Postecoglou must be so pleased with the way Richarlison played in terms of a team effort. Didn't really affect the game again in those forward areas, but really helped out defensively. Now Heung-min Son will look to just add that bit of quality in those forward areas. Needs a bit of decisiveness. Solanke hasn't looked anywhere near capable of scoring the goal. Now that he has Son to link up with in close quarters, we'll wait and see whether or not that proves to be a change here. As Manchester United still not making a change here. Ruben Amorim, this is very strange from you. This is one way of bowling out. I think he has not taken a risk as Patrick Dogu wins the ball. Here's Amad Diallo. Look at that. He's been swarmed immediately. He's done very well. Oh, that's so poor there from Yves Bissouma. He gets a yellow card for after the challenge. You can see as soon as Amad Diallo got the ball, there were 4 players hounding him there. That's how important Spurs view him, but Yves Bissouma getting needlessly involved with Amad Diallo on that occasion. The Spurs have really kept Manchester United at arm's length here in the defensive areas. Here's Bruno Fernandes, clip ball into the box. Such a disappointing delivery. Oh, towards goal. Oh, magnificent clearance off the line. And Lenny Yoro is blocked away. Spurs survive. It should have been a regulation clearance there from Vicario, and it turns into a heroic block. Well, Spurs are temporarily down to 10 and now 9. It's a foul there on Udogie, and that's the closest that Manchester United have come, and it's all from Vicario. It's a poor delivery. Vicario fumbles. It's Højlund's header. What a clearance this is. It's an unbelievable clearance. Yep, it's Van de Ven. Mickey Van de Ven from Rasmus Højlund's header. The acrobatics from the Dutchman. Wow. Well, it was going to take something crazy for Manchester United to score, and they've come the closest. And Mickey Van de Ven with the most heroic of goal line clearances. Vicario, my goodness, what are you doing? That would have been a generational howler. Talked about Spurs, the soft underbelly. I mean, you have looked comfortable throughout the game. Just moments like that might just give the opposition and the fans just a bit of belief that we might just be capable of scoring a goal here. Till then, I think all the belief and joy was just sucked out of the United fans. An effort like that, suddenly you feel a bit of hope. Here's Bissouma. Sar's flicked pass. It's a good pass there from Casemiro to Patrick Dogu. Here's Luke Shaw now. Then Euro striding in forward. Again, Manchester United just lacking real invention in these forward areas. When they get the ball forward, they're not able to stitch meaningful passes around the Spurs back line. Not been able to open up the midfield. It's just been balls into the box, just creating that moment of panic that has worked in their favor. And the way that they build out from the back has worked in that favor. But again, it's Mazraoui who's been caught on the ball there with an errant pass. Here's Pedro Porro. Decent switch out there, but good clearance there from Lenny Yoro. There's Ahmad. Heavy touch there. Finds Son. Can you just feed that to Solanke? Surely a foul. Manchester United allowed to play to continue. Nope. 20 minutes plus stoppage time remain. Substitution been signaled. Surely it's Manchester United making the substitutions. Yep. It's Rasmus Højlund coming off. Well, for the poor performances that he had, he has made the closest that Manchester United have come was from his header, and it's Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund who make way for Alejandro Garnacho and Joshua Zirkzee. Double substitution for Manchester United. Højlund's season ends with yet another game where just doesn't affect the game, does he? Just looks out of his depth. At some point you start feeling sorry for the player because he's just not up to the level. I mean, doesn't trouble the opposition centre half really. He's got a couple of decent touches. He would have been a hero if that situation worked in his favour, but really got to earn your luck, don't you? During the season, maybe he scored 10 or 15 goals. Those kind of chances might go in. But when you've contributed very little... Oh, the chance with the header! And it's Bruno Fernandes who found himself in so much space with a stooping header. It's well off target, but Spurs have started to go to sleep here. It's a very good cross from Moussa Mazraoui, and Fernandes, having got there first, has to try and divert this better. It's a poor header. Manchester United getting closer, though, having not threatened Spurs whatsoever in the first 65 minutes, have now come very close on a couple of occasions. First, the Højlund header, and now Bruno Fernandes with his head. Well, Spurs will want that second goal as quickly as possible. That cushion has been lacking for them. Heung-min Son has been introduced in that attacking phase for them instead of Richarlison. Might just want to see maybe Audible coming on for Spurs. Son playing as that false nine. Here's Amad Diallo. And this is exactly where Spurs will want Diallo to have the ball. At the halfway line, where he won't really threaten the back line. On the left-hand side is Patrick Dogu. Again, his passing has to be a lot more sharper to Garnacho. Well, Garnacho will be coming on with a point to prove, not just to his manager, but to the fans. The season has definitely been a dip season for him. A lot was expected from him, but in terms of output, I think general play, he really has been lacking as he looks to put the ball in. This time, a lot more of a comfortable gather for Vicario. Have to see why Vicario couldn't gather that previously in a lot more of a comfortable manner. You can see Garnacho already looking to be positive in his play. On that left-hand side, they really struggled with the pace. Joshua Zirkzee is going to be a lot more competent in terms of holding the ball up for Manchester United. So they might be able to do a lot more of the attacking build-up in the final third. Here's Zirkzee immediately looking to combine. Good pass there from Fernandes. Finds Garnacho, looking to take him on. 1v1. It's Garnacho with the strive. And it's Vicario with the save. Well, Manchester United starting to get a lot more efforts on target. Positive play there from the Argentine forward. They're just looking to shape this into the corner. But he hits it very true instead. It was straight and into the corner. Vicario with a good wrist to it. Manchester United now starting to crank up the pressure on Tottenham Hotspur. Heading into the final 15 minutes here. Fernandes delivers. Good header there. It's Christian Romero. Gets that out of harm's way. Fernandes thought about it on his left foot. Good nutmeg pass there to Diallo. Oh, does brilliantly there, but Brennan Johnson, alert to the task, concedes the corner. Manchester United slowly but surely growing into this game now. This is a very good pass from Fernandes, expecting Bissouma to just be wide on the challenge. Need to try and get one of these corners onto the heads of any Euro. Harry Maguire goes past everyone. It falls to Luke Shaw. Well blocked. Here's Mazraoui. 15 minutes remain for Manchester United to save their season. Fernandes with the pass, tries to find Casemiro, and now a huge space opening up in the middle of the park as Manchester United midfielders are caught high of the pitch. What a challenge that is from Patrick Dogu. Certainly saves Manchester United from a costly counter-attack against them. Here's Luke Shaw now. Finds Garnacho, looking to add and inject a bit of adventure in the forward areas. Luke Shaw on the overlap there. Oh, it's a reckless challenge by Pedro Porro, but I think it's not much of a contact on and applauded by the Spanish right back, and it's out for a goal kick. Luke Shaw has made a couple of overlaps on a few occasions, but this challenge from Patrick Dogu on Heung-min Song is a thing of beauty, really. Had to get it spot on there. Oh, it's a certain foul by the looks of it. Luke Shaw has stopped. Just look to put the brakes on. Pedro Porro has made contact on the English fullback, but nothing given. Spurs are 13 and a half minutes plus stoppage time away from a monumental victory here. Good header there from Solanke, but no one near the knockdown. Manchester United just looking to put this into the mixer here. Chaos ball. This is where they thrive. Look to make it as uncomfortable and unpredictable to the opposition as possible. Again, Casemiro forced to go back. United not able to progress the ball here in a meaningful manner. Spurs back into their shape here, almost playing as a 4-5-1 now. Here's Lenny Yoro, finds Amad Diallo. Here's Lenny Yoro again. Diallo. Again, no real zip in Manchester United play. They're just moving it from side to side. Bruno Fernandes with yet another incomplete pass, but gets another bite of the cherry. And scoop pass there to Luke Shaw. Collects that well. Finds Casemiro. First time ball. Again, the interception is comfortable for Spurs. Last touch comes off Luke Shaw. Just Manchester United just look like they've run out of ideas in trying to and open up Spurs. And as I mentioned, Spurs have conceded a bucket load of goals in the league. Over 60 goals. And I think this is the right move here from Spurs. They're getting in Kevin Danso as the insurance. Another centre half for Ange. I'll go with the back three. I think Brennan Johnson's evening was coming to an end here and will be a front two of Son and Dominic Solanke by the looks of it, and go with the back five with Romero, Danso and Van der Ven as the three centre halves, with Udogie playing as left wing back and Pedro Porro as the right wing back. So a change in system potentially. Fully expect Spurs to be a bit more reserved in their way that they see this game out here. Brennan Johnson has done his bit. Here's Lenny Yoro, seen a lot of the ball, and that's something that Spurs won't mind whatsoever. I think the centre half have most of the touches. Here's Maguire. Back to Yoro. Again, it's the two centre halves with the touches. Yoro driving with the ball. Mazraoui to Ahmad. And the right-hand side being used by Manchester United. Casemiro, the first time ball into the box. Good header there by Sarr. Again, they're tucking in. They're being very narrow when they defend here, Spurs. Midfield three of Bissouma, Bentancur, and Sarr have covered a lot of ground, and they've been as narrow as possible. Here's Lenny Yoro again. He's often the spare man. We might see him take on a couple of shots as the game goes on. Here's Amad Diallo. Casemiro, again a clip pass, trying to show a bit of invention there, the veteran Brazilian. Here's Maguire. Casemiro putting the press on here. United have played well out of it. Here's Lenny Yoro again. Amad Diallo. Mazraoui. Again, last touch comes off. Mazraoui has a chance for the throw in here. Again, Manchester United. Urgency required in their play here as the ball floated in. Well won there by Van de Ven, who's made some extraordinary challenges in this match. Mazraoui goes back to Euro. 10 minutes plus stoppage time here for Manchester United. For them, it really looks like doomsday for them. And it really does fill me with a lot of joy that if they can't turn this around, it really might be dark days for them. There's a ball played into the box, cleared away by Bentancur, and the combination of Van de Ven gets that away. Here's Lenny Yoro. He's shown real personality here, driving with the ball. And it's Lenny Yoro. Oh, it's a decent delivery. Just shaped that into a dangerous area. Really like the courage at which he's played with, taking a lot of responsibilities. Here's Bruno Fernandes, thought about the shot. Tries to find Garnacho on the left-hand side. Looks for the cutback. And Bissouma clears. Manchester United just pinning Spurs into their own box here. This is something that Postecoglou will not want to see from his players here. Looking to turn away quickly. Here's Maguire. Fernandes. Garnacho. Heavy touch there. Pedro Porro bites into the challenge brilliantly there. Porro looks for the out ball. Finds Solanke. Has to try and keep the ball, and he's done very well, and he turns away from Maguire and beats the challenge of Fernandes. Brilliant from Solanke. Lays it forward to Son, and it's Mazraoui on the slide. Well, the two wing-backs have made extraordinary challenges when their team needed it the most, both on Heung-min Son. We saw that first from Dogu down that left-hand side, and now Mazraoui does the same, certainly keeping United in this game. As Fernandes, again, it's such a poor delivery from the skipper. He's off balance. He's just trying to clip the ball into the box, and it looks like he's bringing on Diogo Dalot by the looks of it. Well, 3 substitutions made. What must be Kobe Maino thinking here? 8 minutes plus stoppage time remain. His goal brought Manchester United within 1 against Lyon. Was that individual magic that him and Casemiro showed for that goal. It's a very strange decision to see Diogo Dalot coming on here. I think Amorim has gotten his timing of his substitutions wrong. And I think in terms of this one being his third and like the decisive, the last substitution, it's underwhelming to say the least. Here's Son. Hasn't really impacted the game here. And Euro, again, he's shown a lot of composure. For a young man his age, he's looking to take that responsibility, driving forward. Like I said, he's often been that spare man, and I wouldn't be surprised that he just decides to have a pop at some time here. Here's Garnacho. Again, Spurs in their back 5 shape, very compact, very narrow. Here's Garnacho. Again, getting no joy against Pedro Porro. Luke Shaw thought about delivering. 7 minutes plus stoppage time remain here. Time really running out for Manchester United. Here's Mazraoui to Amad Diallo. Again, as Bissouma was giving him company here. Now it's switched on to Destiny Udogie. Has done so well there in the combination of Bissouma. And now back to Udogie on the left-hand side. Here's the Italian left-back. Now playing as a wing-back. And Xerxes does very well, but it's a heavy challenge. And Xerxes, it looked like he might have won the ball cleanly there, but in the eyes of the referee, it's not just a foul, but it's a yellow card. Fernandes trying to have a word, but it's futile, really. Yellow card, and the frustration starts to boil over here And more than that, for Spurs, it's an opportunity to just run down the clock here. They are so close towards getting their first European trophy and would come under their most troubled of seasons, where they're finishing 17th and potentially with not just a European trophy, but a route into the Champions League, as Diogo Dalot comes on and Nuzem Mazraoui being substituted here. And Mazraoui really put in a shift down that right-hand side, trying to combine with Amad Diallo, but not having the impact in those forward regions, made that critical interception of Son a few minutes before. Well, Spurs have an opportunity to kill this game if they can get a goal now. With Heung-min Son, look to put this ball into the box here. Son delivers towards the fast stick. Oh, it was Pape Sarr who had made the run. I think it was Danso. Yep, it was Kevin Danso who's made that run. Doesn't get there first. 5 minutes plus stoppage time remain for Manchester United. I've said this time and time again. It really is now or never for them. Have to try and trouble Vicario. Shots from distance. Well, that's a starter for them. They're getting nowhere near the Spurs goal for that. Again, it's the fullbacks, it's the defenders getting the touches. They have an opportunity with this set piece here. Bruno Fernandes has taken most of them. Richarlison, who's seen that first half shift nearly come to fruition here, as Bruno Fernandes delivers towards Harry Maguire. The header is easily into the grasp of Vicario. Well, the header was from Casemiro by the looks of it. Spurs looking to run down the clock, and they'll use every trick in the book here, try and slow things down, try and rile up Manchester United. Christian Romero and Mickey van der Ven have been imperious at the back. You can see it was Maguire who was offside, but Casemiro was on, and his header on target. But you can see there, Danso on the stretch, nearly getting a toe on it. He's an athletic defender. In the summer, was a good stopgap for Ange Postecoglou. You know that Mickey van der Ven had that hamstring injury. Again, Sarr looking to nip into the challenge here. Casemiro goes for the long and expansive switch, which Destiny Udogie wins that, but Xerxes pounces onto the loose ball here. Bissouma is there for company. Xerxes with the strike. Bissouma with a tremendous block. Very well done there by the Malayan centre midfielder. Here's Ahmad. Yoro. Luke Shaw. Patrick Dogu. Again, Diogo Dalot is the spare man. It's another poor delivery into the box. My goodness. I mean, deliveries like that, as a team, it just sucks the air out of you, as Maguire and Cuti Romero are both been involved from the first whistle, really. They have been tussling time and time again. Maguire trying to gain some sort of advantage. You can see that goes down against, is that Mickey van der Ven, and Romero decides to have a scrap. The Spurs are 2.5 minutes plus stoppage time away there. The foul there by Maguire. You can see there Maguire just starting to lose his head. And then you see that picks up the foul and the yellow card, and no surprises that the foul was committed on Christian Romero. Romero's just going to take his time with this. Needless from Maguire. He's been riled up successfully by Cuti Romero throughout this game here. See Maguire trying to win that first ball, just leaning on Romero. I think it was a knee-on-knee collision, and Romero not in a hurry to get up here. Manchester United fans with follow looks on their faces, just trying to lose hope. With 2 minutes plus stoppage time remaining, he's decided to bring on Kobbie Mainoo here. And really is poverty minutes for Kobbie Mainoo. He's got 90 seconds plus stoppage time remaining to try and rescue Manchester United from the situation. Yep. Spurs respond with a couple of substitutions themselves, and both are defensive substitutions. Archie Gray and Jet Spence coming on here. Game management from Ange Postecoglou. Well, the sound in the stadium is going to be absolutely crazy at full time if Spurs are to complete the job here. They're running down the clock successfully here, and looks like Pape Matar Sarr's evening has come to an end. Excellent performance from the midfielder. I think the amount of ground that he's covered, he was responsible for the goal, of course, his goal. I mean, the goal came from his ball into the box. So he will be credited with the assist as he takes his time, soaks in the applause as Jed Spence and Archie Gray, who held down the defense during Ange Postecoglou's defensive nightmare in terms of losing out his back four. We saw Jed Spence play at left back, Archie Gray playing at centre half, and Archie Gray gets stoppage time in terms of the appreciation that Ange Postecoglou, he spoke glowingly about Archie Gray throughout the season, and rightfully so, because he is a young centre midfielder playing his first season in the Premier League, and he had to fill in at centre half, and he did well, to his credit, as Jed Spence and Archie Gray are there to navigate stoppage time, as Manchester United surely now running out of time here. We are into stoppage time. It is now or never for Manchester United. Waiting to see the amount of time being added on for stoppages. Again, no minutes for Ugarte. Very surprising. Again, Len Yoro with the slight challenge. He's such a excellent 1v1 defender. Ooh, Manchester United have 7 minutes of stoppage time here. That's a lot of time in a final. Each second will be going, trickling so slowly from a Spurs point of view. And for Manchester United, that added on time will be accelerating in the speed of knots here. It's a yellow card for somebody on the bench. It's Victor Lindelof who gets a needless yellow card. Well, as it stands, Manchester United on course for losing their second Europa League final. Well, they've been in 3 finals in the last 10 years. Jose Mourinho winning that final in 2016, 2017. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer losing against Villarreal in penalties, I want to say in 2021. And now this one will be the most painful one because of their domestic struggles, compounded by Spurs winning their first trophy. Still, stoppage time remain. Hamad Diallo finds Joshua Zirkzee. Diallo again. Oh, it's a poor delivery again, just lacking that conviction in the drive in. Here's Lenny Yoro. I think he's gotten the most amount of touches for Manchester United, especially in the second half. As the ball towards the far stick, you can see it's Maguire who's trying to make himself a nuisance in the box. He really is an aerial presence, but Spurs deal with that situation well. Diogo Dalot just puts that into a hopeful area. You can see that Maguire was just battling with Danso. Maguire gets the last touch. Yep, strong defending there from Kevin Danso. Celebrated by Cuti Romero. And Spurs just pushing up the pitch here. Just want to get that ball as far as possible from their goal. Manchester United on the verge of having objectively their worst ever season. Ruben Amorim will be so lucky to keep his job after this. I would be very surprised if Manchester United, the higher-ups for Manchester United, hold their nerve. And since they have identified Ruben Amorim as that man to do the job of the rebuild, but how much credit do you have after a season like that they've had, where they are 16th in the league? They haven't cracked 40 points after game week 37. And I wouldn't be surprised, because I need Manchester United to turn up against Aston Villa on Sunday, but they will not, because this result will completely knock the stuffing out of them. With Chelsea going away to the Forest Ground, with Champions League qualification, with Spurs. I mean, this would be revenge for 2012. Chelsea won the Champions League and Spurs dropped down into the Europa League after finishing in the top 4. And Spurs getting that Champions League berth after finishing 17, and Chelsea being in the top 4 for most of the season. Well, yeah, football has a terrible way of evening up, as Bruno Fernandes pulls out the extravagant passes. Here's Amad Diallo, ball into the box again towards, well defended. It's done so again. Well, what an inspired substitution he has been. Ange Postecoglou getting that spot on. He knew he needed a monster in the air, and Danso has been that presence. Here's Diallo. Touch gets away from him, finds Dallo. Here's Ven Heroics again. It's a clip ball. Manchester United completely out of ideas. It's Fernandes who lined up for the shot, gets away from Archie Gray. Here's Garnacho down the left-hand side. It's easily intercepted. It's Archie Gray again, but they've lost the ball in a crucial area. It's Fernandes again. He's teasing for the shot. Manchester United yet to reluctant to pull the trigger. It's Ven Heroics, and it's well over. Well, I fully expected Ven Heroics to have a shot at some point because of the amount of times he's been left in space. Well, Ange Postecoglou might be feeling his heart beating out of his chest. He is 2 minutes away from doing the unthinkable, winning a trophy with Spurs in the modern era. A lot of managers have tried. A lot of managers have spent money. Ange, in fairness, has spent money, but on young, hungry players. And he is getting a tune out of them. He is making them into winners. Well, to come from Australia, to manage in the Premier League, and then to win a European trophy. I mean, stories don't get better than that for Ange Postecoglou. They are 90 seconds away from the biggest party in North London. Diallo looking to deliver. Again, it's hopeful into the air. It's done so. It's Casemiro. Oh, he's asked the question, but the referee asks him to get up. Well, it's a hopeful dive. Manchester United trying everything that they possibly can. We're heading into the final minute here. Fernandes looking to put a ball into the box. Well dealt with by Solanke. Here's Ven Heroics. We're into the last chance saloon here. Final minute of stoppage time. And to the right-hand side, Diallo looking to put the ball into the box. Here's Fernandes. Thought about the shot. Goes wide to Diallo. The two Portuguese looking to combine. It's another ball into the box. The header's well saved. Vicario right at the end provides with the goods. Oh, he had to get that save. I think it was Luke Shaw's header that was on target. United 30 seconds away from the most monumental of disappointment of seasons. Here's Diallo again. Delivers again. Header this time nowhere near target. Fernandes has resisted the urge. Now clips in the ball in. Tries to find Xerxes. 10 seconds remain. Here's Diallo. Tries to go around the outside. Good defending there by Bissouma on the stretch. And he concedes the corner. Surely now last chance for Manchester United. What a save that was. It's Luke Shaw's header. And I don't think he had too much time to respond or recover. Vicario makes amends. Last chance now. Manchester United flooding the box with everybody in the box. Onana is there for company too. This is it. It's Amad Diallo on his left foot who will look to deliver this ball into the box. Referee blows the whistle. The Spurs fans hold their breath as the corner is being delivered. Amad delivers. It's cleared away. It's Garnacho and it's wide. Side netting from Alejandro Garnacho. And that just might be that. Spurs fans and players ready to explode onto the pitch here. A ball is just put into the mixture. And it's a strange decision really to go for the acrobatics. Both Casemiro and Garnacho went for the scissor kick. And that was celebrated by every Spurs fan like it was a goal. Well, Postecoglou is urging Bissouma to get back on. We've played well over 8 minutes of stoppage time. Surely now the final whistle. And the referee blows the full-time whistle, and it's Tottenham Hotspurs who are Europa League winners. 17th in the league, but it does not matter as Ange Postecoglou delivers silverware to Tottenham Hotspur after 17 years. Ange Postecoglou dropped the coldest of quotes where he said that I usually win things in my second season, and he's just gone and done it. That deflected effort from Brennan Johnson off Luke Shaw, turning in to be the decisive moment in the final here in Bilbao. And Spurs will rejoice. And it's the conclusion of a nightmare season for Manchester United, who are yet to crack the 40-point barrier and have lost yet another Europa League final. Full time here in Bilbao. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester United 0. Congratulations to Tottenham Hotspurs, who are Europa League winners and who have now entered the Champions League next season.